So, it's finally that time of year where my favorite show gets a new series, and we've got the catalog scans now. So, a couple of updates. As you will see from this video, a lot of the leaks that I talked about previously, a lot of the leaks and rumors ended up being true. You can obviously figure out for yourself which ones were and which ones weren't by this video. I feel like I don't need to spell it out to you. And also, we've got a live conference happening on the 17th, where they will be announcing things such as the cast and some more story details and stuff. So I'll keep you updated when that happens. But for now, what we've got are the toy catalog images. This is the 01 driver. This is the main transformation device for the series, but maybe it's a little less main than usual because, well, we'll get to that in a sec. So the collectibles for this series are the Prog Rise keys. And they're not the SD cards that we thought they were going to be. We assumed from the shape and size of the silhouette and, you know, the whole hacker theme and everything, that they were going to be SD cards. They ended up being something so much cooler. They are cassette tapes. Yep, it finally happened. I have seen people asking for a Tokusatsu series where the collectible are cassette tapes for years now. And it finally happened. Everyone thought it was going to be a music-themed Sentai, but instead I guess it ended up being a hacker-themed Kamen Rider. What did cassette tape have to do with hacking? I don't know, but fuck it. I'm happy with it. Are you not? Are you really going to complain about that? Yeah, I didn't think so. So the main collectible, the one that the main rider uses to activate his base form, is called the Rising Hopper Prog Rise key. And as you can see there, it's a grasshopper, which is cool. Again, I was assuming that he'd be a wasp or something because, you know, he's yellow. Well, these catalog scans make it look like he's more of like a green color than a yellow. But then again, we don't know for certain because, you know, these catalog scans are very low quality, and so we don't know what's actual color and what's lighting, but he looks more like a kind of greenish color to me. A very neon green, but a very greenish color. And it's cool that he's a grasshopper because, well, the very first Kamen Rider was a grasshopper. So this kind of brings things full circle just in time for the new era. So that's really cool. It's definitely called the 01 Driver, which is a very simple name. There were some rumors that they were going to get rid of the driver branding for the belt and maybe call it like the arms or something instead of the driver. But no, it's still called the driver. So yeah, it looks cool. As you can see, there's like an arrow on the right-hand side of it that the cassette tape kind of slides into, and then there's a hole in the center where you can see the image that's on the cassette tape, and it seems to light up. So yeah, it looks cool. It looks a little basic, but I don't mind that. I don't mind basic. Basic, but effective works for me. At least that's how it looks like it works. So this is the best look we have so far at 01's actual design. And as you will see, this is very, very similar to the previous leaks. This is exactly spot on compared to the previous leaks. It's a plain black suit, but with some neon greenish looking armor that kind of goes on over it. I think this is the Rider Kicks figure version of it, by the way, so this is going to be a little less detailed than the actual suit, obviously. It looks nice. It looks nice. I was kind of iffy on it at first, a little bit, because it was a little bit too simple for me. For example, I don't like that the faceplate, I mean, you can't see it very well in this image, but the faceplate really does only cover like a little bit of the front of the helmet. The sides and the back are basically just plain black, and I didn't know how much I loved that at first, but it's growing on me. It's definitely growing on me, and I do overall like it. I still already like it more than Gio's base form, but maybe that's a bit unfair of me to immediately bash on Gio. I do still like Gio. So yeah, there's not much to really say about the suit because we kind of already covered it in the previous video. This is the secondary rider, Vulcan. His collectible is Shooting Wolf, and do not look at his belt yet because we'll get to that bit in a sec. So his suit looks a lot like Amazon Neo, except he's a wolf. And he looks cool. He does look cool. He looks more kind of armored. You know what he reminds me of? He reminds me of like the secondary rider in Cougar, I think. Yeah, I think him. Yeah, like because he's like really blue and like bulky and armored. And again, I kind of like it. He looks very much like he could be from a different show as 01, but I like that because it kind of has this element of like the drivers all coming from different places and stuff. And as you'll see, the big kind of gimmick, the big thing that sets this series apart other than just it being the first of the Reiwa era are the multiple different drivers. So when Japanime said that he wanted a series where instead of having a collectible gimmick, you just had different belts that you collected, this is kind of meeting somewhere in the middle because these are the first quarter catalog scans, and we already have 3 completely different belts. Now, we do also have a gimmick collectible on top of that with the Progrise keys, but that's still super interesting because I'm interested to see how they handle that in terms of how much functionality each of the belts end up having and how expensive they'll end up being and so on and so forth, because they can't realistically expect every kid that watches the show to like collect all of the belts, right? I imagine the whole idea here is to try and get kids to like choose who their favorite character is and then just buy the belt that's based on their favorite character. At least that's what I assume. Here's a bit more of a look at 01 and his Ride Kicks figure, as well as a bunch of other figures at the bottom. Don't pay too much attention to those yet though, because we'll be getting to more images of those in a sec. So this is Kamen Rider Valkyrie, whose Progrise key is the Rising Cheetah key. She's a cheetah. And I know what you're thinking, wait, she's a she? Yes, it's already been confirmed that she is a she. I mean, it's pretty obvious considering that she's called Valkyrie. And that's a pretty big deal because you're probably thinking, hey, we've had a lot of female riders before. And sure, we have, but they usually come in around about the 3rd or 4th quarter. Or how just end up being movie exclusive. This is really early on. To have a female rider introduced immediately the second a series is announced like this is really cool because maybe it means she'll actually do important stuff to the plot, because it's no secret that the female characters in Kamen Rider have ended up being a little bit underwhelming. So it's interesting to see such a big focus on an actual proper female rider this early on. And her design looks kind of cool too. Her design looks like a halfway point between 01's and Vulcan's, although she uses the same driver as Vulcan, as we'll see in a sec. So here's just another image of all 3 riders together. One, this shows off how low quality these images are so far, so I'm definitely looking forward to seeing higher quality images in future. And it also just goes to show how big a mix-up these suits are. Out of these 3 suits, I like 01's the most by a little bit. I like how sleek and simple his one is, and it's definitely growing on me. I do like Valkyrie's, but I need to see a higher quality version of it before I give any real opinion. And Vulcan's does look cool. His is probably my least favorite, but it does still look nice. So, this is our 4th rider. Yes, I wasn't lying when I said 3 different belts. So basically, 01 uses his own belt. He uses the 01 driver. Vulcan and Valkyrie share their belt. And Kamen Rider Horobi uses this belt. So, Horobi's Progrise key is the Sting Scorpion key, as you can see. Also, really cool thing is you can't really tell based on these really low quality images, but each Progrise key does have the English translation name written directly on it, which is neat. I like that. So get ready for some bad English from Toei's side, but hey, it makes things more convenient for us. So that's neat. As for how this one works, yeah. This one does look very messy and weird, but you can kind of see where the Progrise key slips in, and it does look very different, and I appreciate that. And then, of course, on the right of the image, you'll see a little image of Horobi there too. He's got like really big, like green eyes and like a purple suit. He looks really cool. He might be my favorite, actually. Like now that I'm properly looking at it. Also, an interesting thing to note is he is an archer character. So he uses a bow and arrow, as we'll see later. So he looks pretty cool. Here are the power-ups, basically. Here are the power-ups. These are the equivalent of the different ride watches or the different best match combinations and so on and so forth. So these are like the kind of minor power-ups that we get early on in the series. So these aren't anything major, but these are just like the little small ones he uses early on. So in order, they are called the Flying Falcon, the Biting Shark, the Flaming Tiger, and the Freezing Bear. And can I just say that with this is where I got to the point where I was like, this is starting to remind me of Build, because these remind me a lot of the best matches where, especially like Freezing Bear. Freezing Bear reminds me of the Gorilla Diamond form, for example, quite a bit. But I like that. They look cool, and of course this definitely gives the impression of, oh, okay, so this kind of is a case of like there being a plain black suit that kind of comes off and then the new armor comes on, kind of. Although you can still see like parts of like neon green there too, so I don't know, difficult to tell. I guess we'll have to wait until... See, that's the difficult part of just having the catalog scans. We really do need to wait until a little bit later. But these power-ups look cool. I really like the Flying Falcon one. The Flying Falcon one looks super cool. And it's fairly obvious that's going to be the first one that enters the show because, well, that one is a photo of an actual suit, whereas the other three are drawings. And if you'll notice, the biting shark drawing is lower quality than the other power-up images. It's got like a lot less shading to it and stuff. So my prediction is that Flying Falcon will be the first power-up that gets introduced, and Biting Shark out of these four will be the last one to be introduced. I made a similar prediction to this when Geo catalog scans were out, and I was like, oh, the Ghost and Build ones will be the first ones to be premiered, just because those are the ones they have the actual photo of the suit for, rather than just drawings. And I was right, so stands to reason that would apply here too. These are the first main power-ups for the two secondary riders. So Vulcan's first power-up is Punching Kong, which just whenever I think of that, I get the image of like Mario beating the absolute shit out of Donkey Kong, and I think this is one of my favorite power-ups solely because of that. Just the image, like, oh, Punching Kong, yeah, okay, I'll punch Kong. Fairly obvious this is supposed to be a gorilla power-up, obviously. And then Valkyrie's first main power-up is Lightning Hornet. So she's the one that ended up being the Wasp, not 01. Interesting. And I really like her suit. This suit looks really cool. See, I know how every time I like switch pages, I'm like, 01's my favorite. No, Horobi's my favorite. No, Lightning Hornet might be my favorite of the suits so far. I just love like the design on the chest plate and everything. That looks really cool. I like that a lot. So these two are the first main power-ups. I'd imagine these are comparable to Rabbit Tank Sparkling and the Decade Ride Watch from Geo. So these are called Shining Hopper and Assault Wolf. And yeah, these are the first main power-ups. As you can see, the Progrise keys kind of flick out. I imagine they're spring-loaded, but they might not be. And yeah, they're cool. I like that they kind of, especially 01's, kind of builds upon his main form. You know, like, again, similar to Rabbit Tank Sparkling, it's just kind of like a more detailed version of the main form, and that looks neat. So these three are the main weapons for the series. The top is the Itachi Caliber, the bottom left is the Itachi Shotgun, and the bottom right is the Itachi Arrow. So the top one is obviously 01's weapon, you can tell by the colors, and it's a sword that folds into a briefcase, and it looks really cool actually. This looks better than the average sword gun weapon that we usually end up getting each series. There's a rumor that apparently it straps to the rider's leg to activate the finisher move, but I don't know if that actually is true or not. So the Itachi Shotgun is Vulcan's main weapon, and it's also rumored that it could be used by Valkyrie as well, since they have the same driver and everything. And it's a gun, so Vulcan is very much a long-ranged rider, and so is Horobi even, because he uses the Itachi Arrow, which looks really cool. That thing looks fantastic actually. And yeah, Horobi is also a long-ranged weapon user, so that's interesting. Again, I don't know if, like, because Kamen Rider kind of has the problem that main weapons that they release aren't really worth collecting because they don't really end up doing much and they kind of become irrelevant fairly early on and everything. So I don't know if these will be, like, worth picking up or anything. But the fact that they turn into briefcases is really cool, so I like that. And I do like the design of them and everything. So here is 01's bike, and, well, you know how earlier I said I got build vibes? Well, now I'm definitely getting build vibes. because, well, this is the build phone. You know, this is the same general idea, and it even looks kind of the same, where Zero One has a phone that he uses that also turns into a bike. And as you can see from a smaller image there, it looks like it kind of like connects to the actual driver in some way, shape, or form too, which is how I imagine he activates the bike in the show. So that's neat. Not much else to say about it other than, hey, it looks cool. And here is the main driver for Vulcan and Valkyrie. As you can see again, the driver comes with the Shooting Wolf progress key. Valkyrie's progress key comes with the gimmick holder. So you know how there's like usually a gimmick holder or whatever that connects to the side of the belt. This series' equivalent of that is what Valkyrie's collectible comes with, not one of the belts, which I guess is a good way of getting around the whole, oh, girls don't sell toys thing anymore, because, well, none of the 3 main belts actually are connected to the girl directly. As you can see, which is really interesting, and I'm interested to see how this works in the show, the belt looks like a gun. So I'm wondering if it detaches, like if the belt buckle detaches from the belt itself, and you can just kind of, well, use it as a gun. If so, that's neat. If not, well, Vulcan already has another gun anyway, one that we only just looked at, so hey, but that's cool. I like that. If it is detachable, that's a really cool idea. And here is a bit of a wild card, actually. This is Zero One's mech, and I'm as confused as you are, because the first thing that jumps in my head is the time machine from Geo. And maybe this is a similar deal for that, because I don't think we're going outright Sentai. My guesses are this won't be used very often. This is just going to be something that exists early on for the occasional like CGI heavy fight or whatever, and maybe as some kind of vehicle or something. Although again, he already has the bike, so I don't know if I love this thing, but at the same time, I don't know if I really think this thing will be used much anyway. So yeah, so that's Zero One. I'm sure there are more images out there by now by the time I get this video out, and I imagine people in the comments will be like, why didn't you cover this image? I'm just covering the images I have from the translations I have. My overall thoughts are I'm really excited. I'm more excited for this than I was for Geo, at the very least, because with Geo, I'm kind of against the whole like fanservice anniversary series. Now, I will admit that Geo was a little better than I thought it was going to be. But overall, it's not the kind of thing I would look for from a Kamen Rider series personally. However, this is definitely much more my style. This is very much something I can get a bit more on board with immediately. I mean, as for the story and characters, we can't really say for now. This is just the catalog scans, so we can only really look at the toys. But at the very least, it looks like a very stylistic series. It looks like a series that looks good visually, and it already kind of presents a few interesting ideas forward. The cassette tapes are probably a highlight for me. Those things look cool. I'm very interested in seeing how they work and everything, at least in the context of the show. The free belts are cool. I imagine, again, this is going to be sort of a marketing thing where they kind of want kids to like choose the rider that they like the most and then like collect all the toys connected to that one specific character, which is why there's so much of a variety in terms of like different belts and power-ups and stuff. And I like that kind of overall series gimmick. I like the sort of series gimmick that every rider kind of works on their own and has like their own belt and everything. And sure, the one girl is the only one to not really have her own stuff. She has to share most of her stuff with Vulcan. But I mean, the fact that we're getting a main female rider this early on in the series, one who looks like they will actually contribute to the plot in meaningful ways, I mean, it's a step forward in one way, shape, or form, so that's something. Still not an actual protagonist female rider yet, but we're definitely getting closer to it, so that's something. So yeah, that's Kamen Rider Zero One. There's not much else to really say for now. Definitely very exciting. I'm really looking forward to this series. And the 17th will be when we get more information about it, because that'll be the conference where, like I said, we'll learn some more story details and some casting and other things like that, as well as also see the suits for the first time, if you know what I mean. But yeah, definitely looking forward to Zero One and finding out more information.